Thank you for watching this Slay the Brother video. My name is Killtrap, my twin Soviet Green and I make videos about Magic the Gathering and other cool stuff like that. In today's video I want to go over a fun-ass Brawl commander that came to us with Duskborn. Someone I've been talking about for a while, that's right, Arabella, Abandoned Doll. Like, this girl is just crazy and standard as it is, and then we have the guarantee to have her, we have a bunch of creature outlets, things can just get bonkers, especially when we consider some of the enablers we've put into this deck. So, first things first, we're going to talk about some of the deck's balance. There's a few things in our deck that are above 3, but technically nothing in this deck is above a 3 cost. All of our creatures have an attack value of 2 or lower, and obviously because of how our commander is made. Most of this deck is white, which works out pretty good for us, and you'll see a lot of the creatures and a lot of the white sources, they just naturally go with Arabella. So Arabella Abandoned Doll reads, whenever Arabella Abandoned Doll attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. So the main goals of making a deck like this is creatures, obviously weak creatures, we need creatures, and things that can generate creatures. So we're going to go over the key points of the deck first, or I guess as I would say, these are enablers for our strategy, or at least things that just synergize very well. The first enabler is Skrelv's Hive. Now, I got my ass whooped in a mirror match because this guy was able to get it down turn 2, and I should have removed it. I think I could have removed it, but my dumbass just didn't. I think I went for something else, and yeah, at the end of the day, that is definitely what lost me the game. Because they had a real hard comeback, and I thought I'd be able to get them before they made the comeback. But yeah, we just get we pay 1 life, get a token every turn, and the 1 life doesn't matter, because if we get a swing with Arabella, we get that life back. And also, we do have in here case of the Uneaten Feast, which the first step of that case is whenever a creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. If we gain more than 5 life in 1 turn, we get to transform it, and we can sack it to bring back a creature who is going to be Arabella, most likely, if she just keeps getting killed and we don't want to pay 8 mana to get her on field. So yes, obviously a great outlet, and also, once they get, it has corrupted, so once they get 3 poison counters on them, all these tokens now have lifelink. That's pretty cool. Fear of Missing Out is great. This deck isn't guaranteed to get Delirium early on in the game, and of course there's some graveyard hate in Brawl, but what's awesome is that, once you do have Delirium triggered, especially in a longer game, you're getting your field set up, now you can untap Arabella and swing with her again. That's, really is no better feeling than getting her to trigger twice, which is what our next enabler does specifically. Delnae, Streetwise Lookout. Great to work with her inside of Standard because just naturally, right there off the play, they work. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Nice, a little bit of protection. That means nothing that can block her can kill her. And then, if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time, which is even better, especially if we have him in play, and we have Fear of Missing Out. There is nothing they can do. They could have been untouched the whole game. Now they're screwed. So then our next enabler, and this also basically counts as your backup commander, I guess, if you wanted to look at it that way. Anem Pakal, the Thousandth Moon. I don't know if I pronounced that right. But she's a legendary creature. She's a human soldier. Whenever you attack with 1 or more non-gnome creatures, you put a 1/1 counter on them. Then create X 1/1 gnomes, where X is the amount of counters on them. So that's pretty... And the gnomes are tapped and attacking. So that's pretty cool because that's just more tokens and more tokens and more tokens just growing upon themselves every turn. I really like to drop her first, and sometimes I've just won games just by having her on the field generating tokens, and then I draw something like War Leader's Call. Okay, I'll just beat them all up, keep shitting tokens out, burn you and swing for a lot of damage. And War Leader's Call, obviously, we just like the fact that it deals more damage, it beefs our creatures up. Some of them, that means they won't get a trigger from Arabella, but we have enough creatures with 1 attack, enough token generators that, yeah, we won't have to worry too much about this neutering Arabella herself. Dollmaker's Shop, great card. Glad I'm getting to use it in here. At least Dollmaker's Shop is the first room, and that's our main priority. Whenever 1 or more non-toy creatures you control attack, create a 1/1 toy artifact creature. So yes, it doesn't trigger when she attacks, but I think she's actually the only toy I have in this deck. I may have one more toy. 1 minute. Is Orphan of the Wheat? Nope, they're a human. And we'll get to them last. But yeah, I guess we'll get to them next, actually. Porcelain Gallery is the second part of this enchantment. And if we play Dollmaker's Shop and unlock this room, or if we just had a huge field, it's late game, but we don't know if we have enough to swing, and now we have Porcelain Gallery available to us, creatures you control have base power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. That may just, create a hoof our ass into victory right there, which is pretty nice, because we're going to get a lot of creatures. And that's what makes Orphan of the Wheat so powerful in this deck, is now we don't have to risk every creature to swing for big damage. We can have 5 creatures in play, tap them. Now we have a 7/6. That's what it's about with these guys. So, we can protect our creatures, swing for a lot of damage. If we swing with Arabella, swing with Orphan of the Wheat in that situation, that's 7 creatures altogether that I've listed. So she's peening for 7. She triggers before their trigger happens, and then they're going to be swinging for 7. So it's a beautiful world that way. City on Fire. Now this one, I almost got it off once, and then I wasn't paying attention, and I passed priority when I should have used my might to protect a creature. But once I get it off, it's going to feel so good. This one probably isn't the biggest key piece. I feel like, in my opinion, this is me being me. I have to put a meme in every deck. I swear, I don't know what's wrong with me. So this is the meme of the deck. Convoke. Otherwise, it costs 8 mana, and 3 of that is red, which is a little hefty for us. We're not too heavy leaning on our white, because if we had like a bunch of whites, if we had 10 whites and 2 mountains, or 9 and 3, we're never going to draw a fucking mountain. So, City on Fire, if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage instead. So that just means, like Arabella can swing for 20 or more, just because we have several creatures in play. And the next one is Son of Totanes. Now I wanted to have the other create X tokens, and it's a Boros spell in here. I'll try to get that to flash up on the screen. But it doesn't give you haste. Like the tokens, it's nice because they give you they can beef up other creatures. So definitely maybe I would take out City Fire and put that in. But I didn't feel the need to have 2 create X token spells in here. And really what makes this great is that it gives the tokens haste. Or you can just cast it for 1 mana and give Arabella haste if you want. And flexibility, adaptability, those are things I'm looking for with a lot of our spells in this deck, obviously. So you want things to have value. If something can do more than one thing, serve more than one purpose, then that's better for you. So we can either make a swarm of rats and swing with them, or we can make a few and have Arabella and then swing with all of them. It depends what we have available to us. But with War Leader's Call, that's going to hit hard either way. So now we're going to look at, goddamn, this cat. We're going to look at my cat. Look at her. She just wants the attention. I fed her and I thought that would stop this shit. So anyways, so now I'm going to look at some of the things that this deck has. As you can see, we only have 20 creatures, which may seem kind of small, but you've noticed I've already gone over some creature generating outlets. Here's another token generator, would be Squee, Dubious Monarch. They're great because we can just get them back out of our graveyard if we need it, and just keep getting tokens from them. This guy's nifty because Hearthborn Battler, they have haste, they're 2/3 for 3 mana, so they have 2 attack, they help add on to Arabella, and whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, this creature deals 2 damage to that opponent. To target opponent. Whenever we cast our second spell, or whenever they cast their second spell, it deals 2 damage. So that's a nice little bit of pain, especially if we end up getting City on Fire into play. That'll work out pretty well for us. Then we have 2 creatures that are based around removal. We have Werefox Bodyguard and Eccentric. And, especially if we target their commanders with these guys, they're probably going to take action and send them to the command zone. But if they don't, then that means that they plan on you having removal, and that's 1 less piece of removal for us. If it seems like a deck that's going to be wipe heavy, we can, cast them. If we have the extra 2 mana left over, that's great. They'll wipe their own commander if we're lucky. So yeah, we can get a little cheeky because we can do removal and add on to Arabella, which is nice. Lord of the Third Path, destroy an enchantment artifact. And if we're in a real tight pickle, we'll draw a card, let our opponent draw a card, and probably not get out of that pickle. But I guess the second option is nice to have. Sanguine Evangelist, it's great that they make a token when they enter and when they die, so that's a lot of value for this deck. And we have Takashi's Welcome and Enduring Innocence. Those are our two sources of card advantage. We're not that heavily reliant on card advantage, but it's nice to have them. Anyone else that's looking at this deck and says, I would like another piece of card advantage, you know what card I'm going to recommend. Caregiver's Talent, just because we have so much token generation in this deck as is. You're not going to get the cards as much, but you're going to get plenty of cards. And even then, just the cloning the token, that's nice too. It holds extra value to us, and it can be used as another all-around buff if we need that. Kind of like War Leader's Calling or Porcelain Gallery. If we get into a long game and we're spread out wide, but we're all weenies, we need more strength. So, it's nice that this deck actually has options if we cannot rely on Arabella. And we were going over a little bit of removal earlier. Right now I have Destroy Evil, Exercise, Sheltered by Ghost, and then another fun piece of removal is Trial of Agony. I had a little bit more removal in there earlier. When you get into the higher queues up, and I don't quite know if I'm in the standard hell queue with this deck. It's hard for me to tell right now. But when you get to the higher queues, you'll notice there's going to be a lot of removal, a lot of counters. And I have faced decks where it's just all they're doing is countering me. And especially once you face a Just Guy deck and all your removal gets countered, then they play their commander and start swinging, all of a sudden they're pulling all your removal back out of your graveyard and throwing it right at your commander. You're locked out of the game, and you did it to yourself. Now they're sitting there with counters, waiting for you to just waste more removal. So there is such thing as too much removal, and for our deck, I think having about 10 to 12 removal was a little too much. Now we're down to several altogether, and we have some fun stuff for taking out artifacts and enchantments. I wanted to have, I think it's called Demolish, red mana, destroy target artifact, or Reckless something, I can't remember now. But anyways, destroy target artifact, and then if it's your artifact, you get 3 Goblin tokens. That's a fun one, and yes, it does more than one thing, obviously, but I ended up taking it out. I left in Untimely Malfunction, though. Destroy target artifact. Change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. And up to 1 or 2 target creatures can't block this turn. All of those are great abilities for us. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially change the target of target spell or ability with a single target if we want to protect Arabella. Now, one of my favorite pieces of removal from Bloomborough was Parting Gust. Probably my favorite removal from Bloomborough. And that's just because if we can exile a creature, if we don't gift the fish, then that creature comes back at the beginning of the end step. So if we exile our creature, that's pseudo protection, which this is great for us. It's a little bit of flexibility there. It is. It's nice, and we have more things for protection too. We have Surge of Salvation, and we have Lauren's Escape. They're just 1 mana, nice cheap ways to actually make it so that maybe we can play our commander on turn 3. We have 3 mana. We can keep them alive if they're planning on. We know they've got black. We know they've got red. They may have removal for them. Now this will help us keep them alive. We have a little bit of ward from Lava Spur Boots and Sheltered by Ghost, which Sheltered by Ghost is also removal. So, but that's not going to be enough to keep them protected. And since we're talking about the subject of protecting our commander, I think that's a good time to switch into we have 2 haste outlets. Lava Spur Boots is one, and obviously Bitter Reunion, and that also gives us card advantage. So, just things that do things. And just in case if we have FOMO in play, we can sack Bitter Reunion. We have an enchantment guaranteed in our graveyard. And, so we've most likely got an instant, maybe a sorcery, definitely have a creature in there. That may be the 4th piece of delirium we need to just get going. Play Arabella, sacrifice this. We have FOMO in play. I actually believe I've done that once. And yeah, it's over for them, unless they have a way to kill her. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to Unlucker. They made a comment on my Gruul aggro video back when I was up in the top 100 of Mythic rank, where they mentioned Dowsing Device. And that's a great device, a great one for this deck too. I have it in the other version, as we'll go over soon enough. Dowsing Device will give, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it gives a target creature +1/+0 in haste. It's a 2 mana, and it will end up transforming into a land if we have more than 4 artifacts. So it's not the most reliable though. It'll be good to have when you have it around, but if we accidentally get it to transform, now we have to pay mana to give creatures haste, I believe. So, and Arabella's an artifact, so it's guaranteed to give her haste. So yes, that's a good one, but just because if I have it in play and I want to hold it to the side, and then all of a sudden I keep getting artifacts, like, yeah, that's going to be good power, but eventually it takes the power away from me, and then I'm screwed. So I just wanted to make sure, whatever it is can stay around, even if I only get to use it the one time. Even if I just get to use it the one time, that could still be enough in Brawl, especially with her. So this deck has removal, it has protection, it has a few ways to give itself haste, has lots of ways to generate tokens, and now I think I'm just going to go over some of the stuff that I've left out, and then over our land spread real quick before we shift to what should be basically the same deck, just thrown in a more forgiving, a little bit of a lower queue for weight-wise, point-wise. So, just some of our one-drops are kind of, oh yeah, I didn't go over this. I did mention Case of Indian Feast. It's just great. This thing gives us a lot of life. It does. And then, when, once it's solved, you can sacrifice it. Creature cards in your graveyard gain. You may cast this from your graveyard until end of turn, which is great, especially if Arabella keeps getting her shit pushed in. Or if we have her in play and we have a bunch of our little 1 and 2 drops in our graveyard. But yeah, Yahtzee and Frontliner, they're just nice to have because of the Unearth. If they get killed, a lot of people will end up killing them eventually. Now we can have a creature that will swing with haste, maybe give an extra damage to someone else, and they add on to Arabella. Cheeky House Mouse, mainly because of their adventure. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. So we'll at least keep her alive for 1 turn and give us another creature to use with her in the long run. Scrap Defector Might, beautiful for this deck, just because we get to protect Arabella. And all it costs us is some life. Life we can easily get back if we have these 2 in play. Veteran Survivor, them and Warden of the Inner Sky, they're just great creatures because they're 1-drops that can become a threat. And so smart players will want to answer them. You can't just leave them unchecked. And if, that's just 1 less removal spell for our commander. Or they'll pay the price. Nora and the Swift Survivalist. It's kind of fun, like if you have the mana and you're swinging, it's a good way to keep your commander at least protected from blockers. Just because their ability reads, whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may exile it. And then you may play that card from exile this turn. But if you do that, you have to play them that turn. Otherwise, you're going to pay that commander tax. Phoenix Chick, just another recursion creature. It's great to have these recursion creatures because we know they're going to be annoying, so they're going to get killed eventually. Or we'll just swing with a lot of creatures. Things will get taken out in the process, so it's nice to have things we can get back. Reluctant Role Model is basically the same thing as Veteran Survivor, just next step up. Very annoying creature if they don't handle them. That is for sure. Token Generator. I mean, if you don't put this in your deck with her, I'm wondering what you're using for 2 mana. Because I know there's also a red 2 mana sorcery that will make 2 tokens, I believe, in Standard right now. But we don't need that. So then going over our land spread, I have 22 lands in this deck, which does seem like a little low for Brawl because you want to have a consistent land spread. And if you notice, I don't even have any mana rocks in here. Like I said, though, this is an aggro Brawl deck, so we're not too concerned about that. Like if they really discriminate against our commander and we have to pay 8 mana for them, we do have other win conditions in the deck, as I went over. And, I'm not going to lie, I don't want to play a game where all I'm doing is having my stuff getting murked and discarding every card. I don't want to play that game. It's not a fun game. So, I don't want to use a lot of the mixed lands that come into play tapped, so Braided Bluffs, Rakus Carnival, and that can sometimes come into play untapped, but usually for us not. Those are my main only tap lands. We have Escape Tunnel and Fabled Passage as our fetch lands. Escape Tunnel is great as a fetch land also because if we don't need to use it as a fetch land, sacrifice Escape Tunnel. Target creature with power 2 or less cannot be blocked this turn. So our commander becomes unblockable. Great way to dodge being blocked and killed. So then we have Inspiring Vantage. We have Restless cannot pronounce that, but this guy's cool also because they can give us another creature. That adds on to her ability and also can help beef people up. Or you can just beef them up and just keep swinging with this vulgarly strong land. If you didn't know, Standard Brawl lets you use Command Tower. It lets you use, I think, I'm not sure if it's anything from the Alchemy set, but let's use a few key pieces. And then, Plaza of Heroes. As long as it's in Standard, that should go in every fucking Brawl deck. Doesn't matter if you're mono-colored or not, unless you're really trying to keep your weight down. So yes, even our lands, though, we have a few lands, Fountain Port and Murex, to help make us tokens. So yes, we have a lot of things to help create tokens. We have a lot of things to help protect our small creatures, get a few things to get rid of the threats on the opponent's side. And like I said, everything that we use for removal, it should either give us options or it should be a creature. Because we want creatures for her. But yeah, that's why I'm not using Get Lost, because also that gives people a lot of fucking value. A lot of value. Those map tokens in Brawl, I'm not fucking around with that, dude. Now, someone throws Get Lost at me, but I'm kind of happy I got the value. Because I've used those just to get out of land pockets, or used those to help beef up creatures. I feel like in Brawl, it's a slower format, even though there is still aggro. Like, we don't want to fuck around with that. Unless we're a heavy control deck, and we're not. So I'm going to go over to the Dull Brawl Light, and I don't know if these guys are in a different queue or not, but I feel like they are. I feel like I'm running into different commanders with a little bit of overlap. But like I have not ran into Narset in Light and Exile yet with this version of the deck. I've played over a dozen matches with both of them. I have ran into Narset a few times with the other deck, and it's not a fun matchup. Actually, I played probably 2 or 3 dozen with the other one. So I can definitely say that other one is at risk of running into Narset. This one, maybe you're safe. So if you want to play with Arabella and you want to stay away from Narset, at least until maybe Arabella gains more weight in the Brawl scales, this is probably a good list to start off with. And maybe if you feel like you're running into too many good decks, maybe start trimming off the little bit of removal this deck actually has. So I don't have it set up in the same way as the other one, and there is going to be a lot of overlap. But one of the main differences, we dropped out a lot of the removal. We keep Annex Sentry. We keep Lauren of the Third Path. And, of course, we keep Werefox Bodyguard. That is it for our removal. We also keep Lauren's Escape. And we keep Surge of Salvation. So we have a little bit of protection as well, alongside our Might. There we are, alongside Scroll of Defector Might. So the main changes in this deck, though, are just less removal. So for anyone who's aware of how the Hell Queue works, is there's not really like a Hell Queue, but they have a weighted system, a ranked system. Every card is worth points, and a card being your commander can have a lot of points. And even, they'll still have points in your deck, but like a card being your commander can be worth like 1,800 points or 1,080 points, and like having removal can take away like 45. It can add 45 or 30 points. So in a deck that other deck, we've got several or more pieces of removal, got a lot of interaction. All that stuff is going to raise the score and raise the score. The less we interact with the opponent's deck, the more we just focus on ourselves. The less decks, that are just focused on beating you down, you'll run into, and you may enjoy that experience better. So that's why I bring up both of these decks. And this deck, it has some stuff that's good, but it's not really that great. Like if you wanted to go against Hellq decks, like a Split Skin Doll. Yeah, it's great to have the ability to actually draw a card, on a stick. But 2 mana, draw a card on a stick. I feel like there's a lot better we could do. Like if that's all it does, it's not as effective as FOMO, who they don't give us the extra card, but they let us get card filtration, and then they've got that ability afterwards that we want to build up to. I was able to fit Thousand Device in here, so that's just another outlet of haste for our commander. We have Arcane Signet, just because, I wasn't trying to, maximize everything. I have Mage Bane Lizard in here. Now, they kind of hit us too, but, they're just a fun little ping people down card. I didn't work in the Lizard that deals 2 damage whenever someone casts their second non-creature spell. I definitely need to work them in here, though. I will have it tweaked just a little bit. This one I haven't been playing as much, so that tweak we will figure out how to do that, because that is a great fun card. It really screams kill me, especially for a lot of people don't want to deal with that. They want to do things in their turn. They've got they've been building up to 7 or 8 mana because they have 26 lands in their Brawl deck, and now they're like, wait, what? You're gonna punish me? No, fuck you. Even though 2 damage isn't that much, you know, it's just annoying. So that's not game changing. But yeah, you know, we still have all the crazy win circumstance, or enablers as I call them. We have War Leader's Call. We have 1000th Moon Lady, City on Fire, Porcelain Gallery, and Dollmaker's Shop, Skrelv's Hive, Son of a Tasmanian Devils. I don't know. Tonanzian Strippers. But yeah, you know, we got some of that cool stuff, and not a lot. I don't think anything's changed with our lands. So yeah, I don't know what I got into when I decided I wanted to make Brawl videos, because I was like, crap, the deck tech videos are going to be like longer and more in depth. The deck lists are going to be crazy to make, and I've got to make sure that with this whole Magic weighting their bracketing system, the way they work that on Arena, that the decks are actually able to compete and have fun in where they get placed. Because sometimes you can make just a terrible deck because it's got so much good cards in it. You're like, dude, why am I just getting my shit pushed in? Why is everybody killing everything every turn? Like, they've got answers every turn. There's 10 board wipes in this deck. What's going on here? I just threw some jank together, man. And then you realize, oh, it's my commander. You change your commander up because it's a janky deck. It doesn't need that commander per se. And now it's running normal. Now it's just running into people who you can have fun with. And you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, my commander way too much. I don't know how much it affects standard versus historic, but I'm sure there is still a heavy weight in it. Because, like I said, I'm running into the Enlightened Exile, Narset the Enlightened Exile, a lot with my first one, the one I had labeled Doll Brawl Hell. But the Doll Brawl Light, I haven't ran into them once. Like, not once. Now, as far as overlap goes, Laughing Jasper Flint, he is some of the overlap I've seen. But I also feel like I'm seeing more diversity in the commanders I'm seeing, too. So, yeah, I don't know if Atali Primal Conqueror is hell cute. I think they may be. I feel like I ran into them a few times with my other one, my Doll Brawl Light, Hell, but I still haven't seen them with Doll Brawl Light. And the reason I'm not sure if they're hell cute is like, okay, I know these guys, this is crazy if you can guarantee to have them out by like turn 3 or 4 every game. That's pretty intimidating. But some of those, like, I know I'm aggro, but a lot of those decks just can't keep up. Some of them can, some of them can't. So yeah, it's I think it's hell cute. I'm just not 100% sure. So if anyone here knows a lot of good educational insight on the hell cues and how it works in Standard Brawl, please let me know. Thank you for watching today's video. Please leave it a like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. Check out some of my brother's decks. He's going to be focusing more on Standard. I'm going to be more on Standard Brawl, maybe a few historic and Standard aggro decks here and there, but probably just Standard Brawl, and yeah, until the best of one meta clears up.